Okay, it's 6 minutes after 3 o'clock, and then Idris Latifat, how are you? You are the first to join. How are you, Idris? Good afternoon. I want to thank you for joining because we are about starting our facilitation. This is 7 minutes after, so we want to start. So last week we uh, did facilitation. That's week 5. And our topic was where adaptation and speciation, then importance of adaptation, importance of speciation. We define adaptation, we define speciation, we look at the importance of adaptation, we look at the importance of speciation. We also looked at phylogeny, and then we also did classifications of phylogeny, and we look at geologic periods. So today we are going to enter week 6. Today we are going to enter week 6. So this is the last week of our facilitation. The next week, which is week 7, will be on revision issues. We want to revise for people who mixed 1 or 2 facilitation periods. So we want to join things together and carry them along. Samuel Joy, you are welcome to today's facilitation. We have already welcomed Idris Latifat. So I welcome you, Joy, for today's facilitation. You can shout out and say hello to us.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you very much, Sam.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Latifat, we thank you also. So we continue the facilitation. We have already talked of what we did last week. And then we are now holding on what we are going to do today. So today, we are going to look at, I say that today is week 6, and that will be the end of facilitation period. So, but then next week, we are also going to have 1 week of facilitation again for kind of revision for people that miss 1 or 2 facilitation periods. We are going to fix next week as a kind of revision week to bring together what we have been able to do. So we revise from week 1 to week 6. So today we are going to look at geographical isolation. We look at isolation, and then we also look at the mechanism of isolation. We look at mechanism of isolation. We also look at mortality and natality. And then we also look at chromosome numbers in plants and in some animals. These are the things that we scheduled to finalize today in our week 6 facilitation. So what is isolation? Isolation is any external or internal barriers that prevents populations from what? Interbreeding. If there's any barrier, it can be internal barrier, it can be external barrier that prevents population from interbreeding. That thing could be regarded as isolation or geographical isolation. So you can now see that you have the internal barriers, you have the word external barriers. So internal barriers can also prevent organisms from interbreeding, can also prevent organisms from internal barrier can prevent organisms from interbreeding and prevent population from interbreeding. External barriers can also do that. Now let's look at this. When separated, gene flow, mutation recombination, genetic drift, natural selection, etc., will not have effect on the other separated population. So when we separate organisms, when these barriers that prevent organisms from interbreeding, then you find out that gene flow, mutation, recombination, genetic drift, natural selection will not have effect on the other separated population. And of course, you know that population can be separated by geographical factors like what? Hills, like what? Mountains, like what? Water, or something like ocean, like what? Rivers. These are external factors that can separate organisms. So when isolated, when these things separate organisms, we find out that gene flow, mutation, recombination of genes, genetic drift, natural selection will not have effect on the other separated what? Population. It may be having effect on these organisms on this side, but may not have effect on the organism from the other side. So isolation, in splitting the population of a species into separate units and the subsequent evolution into distinct species. So when these organisms are splitted into separate units, and then, of course, when the geographical effects like gene flow, like genetic drift, like mutation, they may have effect on one population from this side. They may not have effects from the other one because of the separation. So let's look at mechanism of isolation. What are the mechanisms that can, what are the various mechanisms that can result to what? Isolation. One is geographical isolation. Let's look at geographical isolation. So what is geographical isolation? Is one of the mechanisms of isolation. Geographical isolation, or types of isolation. One is geographical isolation. What are the things that can separate organisms or separate population so that they will no longer interbreed, they will no longer reproduce? Mutation will not have effect generally on them. So one is geographical isolation. Example is river, sea, mountain, desert, land, temperature, forest, etc. So they are geographical factors like rivers, like oceans, like mountains. So all of a sudden, if a river comes, or ocean comes, or mountain comes, or hills comes, or forest comes, or temperature, or desert just came, it can separate organisms, populations. One population that have been enjoying themselves, all of a sudden they become separated. And once they this separation is called geographical what? Isolation. This separation is called geographical isolation. Now, it prevents interbreeding. These things can prevent interbreeding. This river or sea or mountain or desert, it prevents interbreeding and separate the organisms from interbreeding. So physically, they are called allopathic. Now they are forced to evolve independent of another and accumulate geographic differences because they are already separated. So geographical isolation can force organisms to evolve independently and accumulate genetic differences. So one of the types of isolation is geographical isolation. Another type of isolation is reproductive isolation. I'm having lecture here. One of the second type of isolation is, apart from geographical isolation, which I gave example as river, sea, ocean, mountain, forest, temperature, land, deserts. So they form geographical isolation. The second type of isolation is reproductive isolation. Reproductive isolation. This occurs due to differences in genes that arise during the origin of subspecies that prevent interbreeding. So this is reproductive isolation. Reproductive isolation arise due to what? Differences in genes that arise during the origin of subspecies that prevent interbreeding. And then we can classify reproductive isolation into premating mechanism, postmating mechanism. So let's look at premating mechanism. Premating mechanism like seasonal isolation. Potential mates do not do what? Come together due to what? Differences in breeding seasons of two species. Example is one toad called the Bufo americanus. It brings in early rain, in the early rain, while another Bufo, known as Bufo foleri, breeds in late rainy season. So, because of different breeding seasons, they are reproductively isolated because they don't breed the same time. And so they now say the different breeding seasons now prevent them from what? Interbreeding. So it has separated them. So this is what we call reproductive what? Isolation. Then another type of reproductive isolation is habitat isolation, or what we call ecological isolation. They are still under reproductive isolation. Habitat isolation. When you have different habitats, two different habitats, so potential mates do not meet each other due to differences in habitat, either space or food requirements or climate, or even spawning ground differences in spawning ground. So because of these differences, so it is habitat isolation, differences in spawning, differences in food availability, differences in climate can also affect organisms. So it is still another example of reproductive isolation. So reproductive isolation could either be seasonal isolation or habitat isolation because it prevents organisms from what? Interbreeding. Another type of isolation is ethological or behavioral isolation. So we have geographical isolation, reproductive isolation, ethological or behavioral isolation. Ethology is the what? Study of behavior of organisms. So ethological or behavioral isolation. So here, potential mates may not be able to meet or cannot meet due to differences in courtship or display or signal. So if one organism, if the courtship do not rhyme, is a problem because the one organism may be prepared for reproduction, the other organism may not be prepared. So that is what? Ethological isolation or behavioral isolation. So reproduction always takes place when the two organisms are in a kind of the same mood. So that when one organism carry out courtship behavior, the other organism can respond. And then reproduction can take place. So we have treated three types of isolation. One is geographical isolation. Two is what? Reproductive isolation, which may be either seasonal isolation or habitat isolation. And then we also treated behavioral isolation or ethological isolation due to difference in courtship behavior, due to differences in in display or signal. So that can cause what? Isolation. That can make organisms not to what? To make population not to reproduce at the same time. It can affect, it can act as a barrier toward reproduction of a population. Now, the next one we are going to look at is chromosome and chromosome numbers in plants and animals. We have already defined chromosome as a rod-like substance that contains the genes. Rod-like substance that contains what? The genes. And remember that gene is a unit of inheritance. So genes are located on the chromosomes. So whether plant or animal, organisms have different chromosome numbers. So chromosome is a very important material that helps in what? In reproduction. Now, you have different chromosome numbers in plants. Chromosome numbers in plants. And when we did polyploidy, we have already noted that these chromosome numbers can be what? Can be multiplied, can be in multiples. So we want to note the chromosome numbers in various plants. Like domestic oats, the chromosome number, the initial chromosome number is 7. We know that. But it now has a polyploid, which is 6 ends. That's 6 times the original number. 6 times 7, which is 42. Therefore, the polyploid is 6N. Peanuts is a plant. The chromosome number is what? 10. But in diploid form, in polyploid form, you have 4 times that 10. We are sorry for loss in communication. It's due to network problem. So, but we are talking about in peanuts, the original number of chromosome is 10. But because of polyploidy, we now have 4 times the original number, which is 4N. So the chromosome number in a polyploid form is now 40 instead of 10. Sugarcane has chromosome number 10, but because it has become polyploid, you know, human being can induce polyploid in this plant. You have induced polyploid so that you have now 8 times the original number. So you now have 8N, which is 80. The chromosome number is now 80. Banana has 11 number of chromosomes, but the polyploid number is now 2N and 3N. There is one that you multiply by 2, another one multiply by 3. So we now have 22 and 33 chromosome in banana. White potato has chromosome number 12, but in polyploid form is now 4N, which means 4 times the original number, which is 48. Tobacco has chromosome number 12, but they now have a polyploid of 4N, which means 4 times the original number, which is 48. Cotton has chromosome number 13, but now you have polyploid form that has 4 times the original, which is 52. Apple has chromosome number of 17, but the polyploid number is now 2N, which means 2 times 17, which is 34. We also have 3N, which means 3 times 17, which is 51. So that is the number, the chromosome number. So that's to tell us that chromosome numbers can be what? Increased by polyploid. Also in animals, it happens in lower animals, like leeches, like shrimps, like goldfish, like salmon, like salamanders. And no wonder they use them mostly in this type of fish, mostly in aquarium, so that they have plenty. You can design it to have various colors. You can increase in different numbers. You can incorporate all kinds of colors in them. So this is what happened in plants and other even other plants and even animals. So that is chromosome number, which we did when we did polyploidy. You find out that this chromosome number can be what? Can be increased so that instead of the original number, you now have plenty number of chromosomes. That is what we witnessed in some plants. So, okay, we have looked at even most of them that becomes polyploid. Like in animals, like lizard also. Lizard, polyploidy can take place in lizard so that the chromosome number now increase. Polyploidy can also take place in salamanders so that the chromosome number is no longer the original number we have. It has multiplied. So it can happen in salamanders. It can also happen in rodents. In rodents, that is a mammal, can increase the chromosome number in rodents. It can also happen in insects. The chromosome number can be multiplied in insects so that the available chromosome is now a multiple of the original number. Even in reptiles, they happen in reptiles. In fishes, they happen in fishes. In amphibians, I've mentioned toad before, or frog, it can also the chromosome number can also be multiplied so that you have multiples of chromosome apart from the original number. This is what we need to know on chromosome numbers. And of course, this chromosome we are talking about, different, if you come to mammals, the total number of chromosomes in man is 46. So, but in a diploid cell, this chromosome is 46 that are in pairs. So, 23 pairs. So, they are in pairs in humans. So, our total number of chromosomes is 46. I have not heard of polyploidy in humans. Polyploidy in humans. Because if the chromosomes multiplies and becomes plenty in men, then that will be a serious problem. All that we know is that sometimes the chromosome can be added in human being, or chromosome can be deleted, so that instead of that 46, you have 45. Or it can be added, instead of that 46, you have 47 number of chromosomes. In case of Down syndrome, which is 47 number of chromosomes. And in case of Turner syndrome, where one chromosome is lost, 45 number of chromosomes. So chromosome is very, very important. And what is the importance of chromosome? The chromosome carries the gene which transmit characters from parents to what? To the offsprings. That is what we must know in chromosome number. So in this lecture today, we have been able to look at isolation. And we say that isolation is any external or internal barriers that prevents population from interbreeding. And so when we say that when separated, gene flow, mutation, recombination, genetic drift, natural selection will not have effect on the other separated population. So, and isolation, which is splitting the population of a species into separate population of a species units, and the subsequent evolution of a new organism. And we look at types of so apart from this we look at types of isolation. We look at the first one we say is geographical. Geographical is when the separation is caused by geographical factors, like what? Like river, like sea, like mountain, like desert, like land, like temperature, like forest. They prevent organisms from physically interbreeding. Then we look at reproductive isolation. We say when the mates are not brought together at the same time, or either pre-mating period or post-mating period, we divided reproductive isolation into seasonal isolation, when seasons are not matching. When they breed at different seasons, then two different populations may arise. We use the example Buffo americanus and Buffo fulleri. They breed at different times. Then we also categorize the reproductive isolation into habitat isolation, when the habitats of the organisms are different. So breeding grounds differ. So some breed in the spawn, when the spawning ground differ, either in fishes or toads, then you find out that reproduction will not be able to take place. So that is habitat isolation. Then we also look at ethological or behavioral isolation. Ethological or behavioral isolation. When here potential mates may not be able to mate due to difference in courtship or display or signal. So when the two organisms, their signals or courtship are not synchronizing, then that one can lead to ethological or behavioral isolation. So that two different organisms will now, two different populations will now take place. So these are geographical. Most of these are geographical. But then we also have physiological. When the physiological when the physiological profile of organisms are not matching. For example, when for example, in man, you can have what we call the medical people call it hormonal imbalance. Can you now see it? Hormonal imbalance. When the physiological build-up of one organism is not at the same time the physiological build-up of the partner. So the hormones that can make reproduction to take place are not balancing. It happens in human being. So physiologically, there is differences. Even when there is a low sperm count, so that the sperm that should be able to fertilize the egg are varying in organism, it may make reproduction very difficult. And so new organisms may now adapt. Organisms may no longer produce as usual because reproduction is what affected. So that is that. Then we also look at chromosome number in plants and a chromosome number in animals. Originally, we look at the chromosome number in some of these organisms, like domestic oats, that is 7 in number. But when polyploid occur, it becomes 42. That means 6n, 6 times the original number. Peanut, we have chromosome number 10. But the modified type, we have chromosome number 40, which means polyploidy has taken place 4 times the original number, that is 4n. Sugarcane has chromosome number 10. But when modified, chromosome number becomes 80, modified sugarcane 80, which means 8 times the original number, which is 8n. That is the polyploid form. Banana has a chromosome number 11, but in modified banana, you have chromosome number 22, some 33. That means 2n or 3n, 2 multiplied by the original number, or 3 multiplied by the original number. White potato has chromosome number 12, but in modified type, you have 48. That means 4 times the original number. In tobacco, the chromosome number is 12, but in modified tobacco, the chromosome number is 48, which means 4 times the original number. In cotton, the chromosome number is 13, but in modified type, the chromosome number becomes 52. That means 4 times the original number. Apple has 17, but in modified form, you have 34 and 51, which means 2n and 3n. These are what we know that happens in the chromosome number and the modified type of chromosome number. So this is what we're able to do today. I want you to ask questions so that I know whether you follow what we did today in week 6. In week 5, remember last week, we talked of adaptation and speciation. We discussed the importance of adaptation, importance of species. That was last week. We also looked at phylogeny. That was last week. But today we are looking at isolation, the geographical isolation, physiological isolation, ethological isolation, behavioral isolation, and etc. So I want you to ask questions so that I know whether today's lecture has synced, whether you understood this lecture. Some of you, how many I number? There are not so many. I don't know what is happening. Others don't want to join the lecture. So how can somebody not who does not enjoy join the lecture do well in the exam? So I want your questions. So ask some questions so that we can answer them. I will move forward. Remember that today.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Well done, sir. Thanks for the lecture, sir.
Is it Latif?
When you talk, yes, sir, it's Latifat, sir.
Okay.
When you talked about the mechanism of isolation, you
Yes.
mentioned geographical, reproductive, and
I
is it habitat?
mentioned
You
one. One geographical,
geographical
then 2
isolation,
reproductive,
reproductive isolation,
then 3
and the third
ethological,
one,
ethological.
ecological
Then you can
or
also have
behavioral.
physiological
Yes, you said that
and
physiological.
cytological and cytological. I don't add cytological. Cytological is
Okay.
when the chromosomes do not match.
Okay.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah.
When there's where you talked about habitat or ecological isolation. Is it part of the reproductive isolation?
When you have seasonal, and habitats. It is seasonal and habitats are part of reproductive
Okay.
isolation because the
Reproductive.
habitat may be
Okay.
separated. Are you following me?
Okay.
Habitat may be
All right,
separated,
sir.
or the
Okay.
season, they can breed at different seasons. So that this one will come and
Okay.
lay eggs, expecting the other one to come and fertilize it, but the other one did not come
Okay.
because it is not
Oh,
its own season of what reproduction. That is seasonal
okay.
isolation. Then for
Okay.
habitat, you see, in habitat isolation, one may spawn in the habitat. The other man will not be able to spawn again because that is not the habitat. So we have variation in
Okay.
habitats. I hope you understand. Even space,
All
even
right.
food requirements, it can also cause a problem.
Okay, sir. Thank
I
you,
need
sir.
more questions like that. That shows you are following.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yes, I need more questions. Joy, what are you doing? I want you to ask questions because you joined early. Or Joy, have you gone out?
So I'm
Samuel,
with you, but I'm actually at work. I'm actually in the office. That's why I cannot participate fully. Sorry.
you say what? Joy,
Hello, sir.
what did you say?
Hello, sir. Can you hear me? I
Yes.
don't know, I'm in the office. That's why I cannot contribute, but I'm listening.
Oh, you are in
I'm
hospital.
listening. The only thing I didn't get was I'm actually in the office at work. At work.
Okay, no problem, no problem, no problem.
The only thing I didn't get was the definition of isolation.
Definition of isolation. Okay.
Yes,
Iso
sir.
I said that isolation is any external or internal barriers that prevents population from what? Interbreeding. Any barrier that prevents population from interbreeding is what? Isolation. It can be
Isolation. Okay,
geographical
sir. Thank you.
isolation. It can be behavioral isolation. It can be reproductive isolation. It can be
Reproductive and
physiological isolation.
behavioral.
It can be cytological isolation.
Yes, sir, I got that.
Thank
I
you.
got the other part. Let's
Okay,
definitely.
thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Inua, Fumilayo, Inua, and Efyong, Inua, and Fumilayo. You mean you didn't join the lecture? I want to hear one or two things from you. They should,
So
Yes,
I'm,
sir.
I'm just joining. I just got the notification now.
Efyong, is it the first time you are joining this lecture?
It's not the first time, sir.
So why are you joining?
I
You know
was
that,
on.
okay, you are not online.
Yes, sir.
Okay, next time, anyway, next time is revision. Week 7 is revision. I don't want any of you to get anything less than A in this course because we have really put our feet on the ground on this lecture. Is that okay? So if you get anything less than A, I will not be happy. Is that okay? So meanwhile, I will drop the recorded lecture on the platform immediately we finish. Immediately I get the recorded, they send the recorded something to me. Is that okay? Okay. Zahra, are you in the office?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So no comment from you.
Good.
Sir.
Eh?
Oh,
I have question
yes, sir.
about pre-zygotic mechanism
Hello.
and post-zygotic mechanism.
Okay. That is under cytological. We are talking of the
Yes.
chromosome number. When the chromosome number did not match, and when there are differences in the cell makeup or genetic makeup, it is treated under cytology. So,
Okay. Thank you, sir.
okay.
Hello, sir.
Yes, is that familiar?
Yes, sir.
Runaway girl, you have come back.
His busy schedule. God have mercy.
No wahala, no
Okay,
wahala.
sir. I joined late.
Okay.
Isolation, and was when other people are asking questions. That is when I got the definition of isolation. Fine. The
Yes.
one I didn't get properly is the behavioral isolation. He said
Okay.
we have 4 types: geographical, reproductive, behavioral, and cytological.
And
Right? So I
physiological
didn't
is
get
also
that
there.
psychological. That behavioral isolation, I didn't get it right, sir.
Okay, what happened? That behavioral is also called ethological. Ethological. So ethology means
Okay,
behavior. I hope you understand. So when you go to some
okay,
textbook, you may see ethological isolation. It is
okay.
also called behavioral or ethological
Sure.
isolation.
Okay,
Here, what happened
okay,
is that population will not be able to meet due to differences in courtship. If, for
okay,
instance, somebody wants to draw you closer and you are not showing any interest and your mind is not there at all, it will not click.
okay,
I hope you understand.
okay.
If you watch
Yes,
birds also, if you watch chicken or birds, they do some courtship behavior before to attract the other one. And then both of them will
hmm,
be prepared before reproduction can take place. The same thing in
okay,
lizards. If you are watch lizard, the courtship follows reproduction, follows mating. If you watch other animals, they give signal. I hope you understand. They give a kind of
yes, sir.
display. Some of them will do display. Like the male cock will begin to display some characters or some dancing to attract the opposite sex so that reproduction. So this is behavioral isolation. If when the display or when the signal or when the courtship is not synchronized, the other one is not understanding or is not even showing attention or is not even coming to close at all, it is a wasted venture and reproduction will not take place. So if that happens, then you call it behavioral or ecological isolation. So that
Okay, sir.
population will no longer reproduce because there are differences in display. There are differences in courtship. There are differences. The signal is not making any impact. I hope you understand.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
When you were young or when I don't know, I've not seen you, there are certain characters somebody will display to show you that he's interested or you mean itself. Before you consider that somebody is mean business, you have to convince you with certain behavior. Is it not true?
It's true.
If you doubt any behavior of any person, you don't even show your face there. It's only when you are convinced. There are a lot of displays, a lot of courtship, a lot of signals, which convinces you that, look, oh, this person is somebody you will listen. That's only the time you begin to listen. But if after everything, nothing, no show for you, then the whole thing becomes a flop.
Yes.
So
Oh,
thank
thank you, sir.
Okay, thank
And
you.
concerning the record you always post in the group,
Yes.
those of us that didn't have system, we are not allowed to download it.
And that is why
We
how
don't,
they gave it to me. I don't know what I would do in order to simplify it so that it can be open in phone. It's only in
they
laptop that
can't
that
open
thing
it
can.
on phone. It's only in laptop, yes.
That is the
And it's
format they
painful.
send it to me.
All the previous lecture that I missed, I was unable to download it.
Can't you beg somebody so that at least you can listen to the lecture with somebody's laptop? You must have a friend that has a laptop.
I will try. I will try. I will try, sir.
Try get it from. I know. What is this girl? She has gone out. Otherwise, Samuel Joy. She has it in her laptop.
I might not be in the same
Yes,
center.
I don't have it yet. I've not been able to get it.
Ah, ah.
It might
So you
not be
don't.
in the same study
I
center.
joined I joined the WhatsApp group I think 2 weeks ago and I was asking for you to repost the previous one, but nobody responded.
It's because we did not have it, though. That's why we did not respond.
Okay,
We
what
could not
happened?
download it.
What happened is that I will now send week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. All the weeks I will have to
Yes,
send it back because some people
sir.
joined
Thank you, sir.
later. Is that what
Oh,
I should
Yes,
thank
do?
you. We
sir.
are grateful.
Is
All
that
right.
what I should do?
Yes, that would be better.
Yeah, thank
Yes,
you.
sir. That would be better.
Okay. But the format is not
Thank
me
you,
that
sir.
prepared it, it's them that prepared it. So I may not be
It's
able
better, sir.
to
Mm.
send it in that format that can open in phone. Do you understand?
Yes,
So
sir.
this
Okay.
is where we may call it a day. I've enjoyed you. I've enjoyed you. Samuel Joy, thank you very much. Idris
Thank you,
Latifat,
sir.
thank you very much. Funmilayo, thank
Thank
you
you,
very much.
sir.
Inua
Welcome, sir. Thank
Zara, I
you, sir.
thank you. Effiong Abigail, thank
Thank
you
you,
and
sir.
God bless all of you. Next week it
Yeah.
will be our
Bless
revision
you.
time. Week 7 will be our revision time. By His grace, I will be
Okay.
able to send all the recorded lecture to our WhatsApp group so that you'll be able to see whether you can see one of your friends and use the laptop. And then begin to work.
Thank you, sir.
Begin to work. You cannot be a student of National Open University with ordinary phone. Begin to plan and have a laptop. Your sponsor, if you have a sponsor, begin to tell your sponsor the importance of laptop.